Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pre-Game Engineer Tailgate Air Racing Podcast, episode number 55 for Wednesday, July 6, 2016. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, joined in the PETM Podcast studio in Atlanta, Georgia, as always, by Pre-Game Engineer Andrew Sherwin, running out of breath. Sherwin, what's up?
Man, I'm super happy to be here. Did you see that Marty Smith was in Iceland this week?
I did see
How
that.
freaking cool was that?
Yeah.
NASCAR!
Hanging out with volcanoes and NASCAR. What you drinking?
Mr. Obijenski, we have some Aviator Brew courtesy of Rusty Wallace.
True. Yep. I found this at I was in a dry county this weekend. I know everybody shed a tear for that one. And, they had Aviator. They don't sell liquor, but they'll sell beer. And they had this at the gas station. And I was like, well,
No.
yeah, gas station beer. Aviator.
Best gas station beer I've ever
Yeah,
drank.
I'll tell you what. So I was pretty excited about that. But you also brought us a bomber here.
May have.
The, if I, do my terrible Boston
Well,
accent,
we got to do
bastard.
part of what we're doing today is when we got to cover Sonoma, so we got to cover the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So we got to have California beer. And if we're going to cover California beer and we're going to cover California racing and California winners, why not have a beer called Arrogant Bastard?
It's a little smoky.
Yeah, it is.
If I say so myself. We'll get to that, of course. We'll get to everything going on. We'll tear it down. We'll build it up. We will take some fan questions. We got some questions this week, so that's pretty cool. And but we're going to start this one off same way we have for the last, 10 or 12 weeks now, and that's with the number. It's episode number 55. Let's talk about the 55.
Yeah, let's talk about that double nickel car.
The double nickel. Of course, we're, I guess the newer fans like us, within the last 10 years or so, we're going to know that as the Michael Waltrip car or that Kenny Wallace car that you brought up in the
Yeah, we got to own that, I would think, a little bit.
Yeah. So, but 119 races in the number 55 car was old fella named Tiny Lund.
How small was he?
He was 6 foot 5 inches tall and 270 pounds, and they called him Tiny.
That's a big old sunbed.
He's a big old boy. He served in the Korean War for the Air Force. Believe it or not, that's pretty cool. So another, we keep coming up with these older fellas that were in different wars or enlisted somehow. So it's really cool to see that. 303 races in total, 5 wins, 119 top tens. No, I've read that wrong. Something's wrong on that. They won the 1963 Daytona 500. Died in a car wreck in Talladega in 1975. He was 45 years old. And in 1998, they named him one of the top 50 greatest drivers. And I say they named him. I have no idea who it is, but I saw that was a stat.
He did all of that before he turned 45 years old?
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
Americans used to pack it in.
Fought in the
We dragged the hell out of some stuff, some life out now.
I'm 33. What would they say about me?
303 races, fought in the war. F it, Daddy.
Right.
Well,
here's Rusty. He was born. That's for sure. Then he went to some races.
Then for 30 years.
Did this kind of podcast thing, farted around, and died, falling off a cliff on one of his wacko vacations.
Yeah, I don't. That's nuts. Old Tiny.
Old Tiny. So cheers to you, Tiny, on the podcast here. Quick update on the old 24K Kenny Smith PETM podcast car. I think he got a little Rubbins racing this past weekend, and
it sounded like the track was the problem.
Was it?
Yeah, with a really rough track, and it beat the front valence off his car.
Okay, I might be thinking about 2 weeks ago, y'all.
Yeah.
I've been itching to get back in the seat. We apologize to the posse for not being on last week. Things just didn't, work schedules and stuff.
Yeah. So it sounded like the track surface was the reason that Kenny had some issues, and it ripped the front valence off the car. Ugh. And I don't know what else, undercarriage damage it might have done. You can imagine how much the car was moving up and down if it would, had enough force to rip the front valence off. But unfortunately, Kenny's got some work to do to the car, or he's got to leave it as is. Of course, he's still working on that green car to get that thing up and running. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But rooting for Kenny now. He's got a little work to do. But y'all follow him. I think it's at
USMC Kenny SGT.
That's it. Yep.
Sergeant Marine Corps.
Yes, sir. So, and he periscopes the races. It's pretty cool. His girlfriend, wife, not sure.
I think that's what we're calling her.
Yep. She Heather. We'll call her Heather. She tapes. Look at me.
Tapes. That's
it's 2016,
awesome.
Isn't it?
Skipping back like 3 generations of technology. That was awesome.
She tapes a race for everybody.
Well, she's got it on beta, so we're good.
Yeah, she'll send you a VHS of it if you send her a self-addressed stamped envelope. Anyway,
this is that joke part I was telling y'all about earlier on Twitter.
Let's get to our newest segment. We're calling it "Tearing It Down." So
let's tear it down.
Let's tear it down. We got 2 races to tear down.
We got to go back to Sonoma.
We got to go way back.
Wine country.
Yep, wine country. We're going over to wine country, and I got to tell you, we have said on the podcast, and I went back just to make sure I was right, and said, I mean, even in passing, we said, well, Tony's not going to do anything this year, or Tony's not going to win a race, so we're not, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was just, we said it in passing, like that it was such a given that it's not going to happen.
Well, if we're going to be a media outlet, we have to say what we think is on the minds of the people.
Sure.
Which is that it's a very awkward situation Tony Stewart's in.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he's come off injury, come off suspension, injury, whatever it is, a crazy, weird situation.
A lot of stuff going on in Duder's head.
God bless those folks that were involved in that. But now all of a sudden, like, we want him to perform, but you shouldn't have the expectation that he will.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does.
And that was, it just blew my mind that he was able to do it, and the fashion in which he did it, especially in that last turn, in that last corner. I mean, every eyeball on that, like I was 52-inch television. I
was standing 2 feet
6
away
inches
from
away.
it.
Exactly. Just
beer
going
in hand,
nuts.
pointing.
Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, when Denny passed him on turn 11, turn 12, whichever that big old hairpin is.
Oh yeah, that's 7B, I think is what they call it, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever they call it. When he passed, and then sort of went by him a bit, and you're going, "That's it. There's no way." And then that last corner, and Tony just said, "I'm not lifting." And
well, no, I'm not trying to add any clairvoyancy to this situation, but I knew in the hairpin he would have a chance.
Yeah,
but he would only have a chance if Denny made a mistake.
Yeah,
Denny made a mistake of thinking Tony might go on the outside. He told the audience that he didn't wheel hop. We saw the evidence on screen he did.
Yeah,
he downshifted too early and didn't match RPM.
Yep,
and not only did he make a wide entry, but he also wheel hopped and gave Tony the option to, I can either bump him and drag race him to the start finish, or I can body slam him and guarantee I beat him to the start finish.
Yeah.
What the hell would you do?
Well, yeah. Especially, Denny's got to win.
If you're anybody,
yeah.
Like, well, I can body slam him into the wall and I can take the win and guarantee he can't catch me. Certainly can't turn me going through 12B or whatever we're calling that really soft left-hander back to the start finish.
Yep.
So
that's all gas.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all on Denny for not braking well enough, not syncing gears, not matching RPM, taking too wide of a turn. And he admitted all that, and he hugged Tony at the end.
Sure.
I think that speaks a lot.
Yeah,
we're not talking about, there's not animosity here.
Right. There was nobody upset at the end of the race.
Hey, man, I made a mistake, and you hit the glide path that guaranteed you were going to win.
Yeah.
I appreciate. And you know what? It only cost Denny one position. So in the end of the day, Denny has already got his win at the Daytona 500, and he only lost one. He really only lost 1 point. I mean, you could add the 3. You could say he lost 4 points, but he already had led a lap. So really, he only lost 3 points. The 3 points for the win, and the 3 points that would, they would give him
the
going
difference
into the chase
as
the bonus point situation, which he doesn't really need for the chase anyway. With only one win, like, okay, they all add up. All the points add up. It all adds up in the end. But the fact that he still finished second, Now, he doesn't have the road course win yet, which he obviously wants, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's Tony Stewart.
It's Tony Stewart. That's what it comes down to. And what nobody...
And they used to be teammates, recall, for 3 years.
Right. And what nobody upset...
And Denny always respected Tony, and Tony always respected Denny.
The esteemed producer, the Frizz 11, who's actually on a plane to London right now, she's a big Tony fan. And she always says, I love angry Tony and I love happy Tony, like the two, or passionate Tony, I guess.
Yeah.
The way, and so she's sitting next to me on the couch, and she's standing on her feet before I am, and that was really funny to watch. Come on, Tony! Dang it, God! She puts her country accent on, and she's from Connecticut, so I imagine that scene playing out in hundreds of thousands of living rooms across the country at that point. I mean, everybody had to be just excited to see that door slam and that pass at the end.
I can only imagine. And I think as soon as I know when I was watching, like I said, I was 2 feet away holding a beer, 55-inch TV, and I'm 12 inches from it.
Yeah.
And I'm pointing at it.
Yep.
And I was like, if he leaves the door, I knew that if Denny hooked the bottom and got up off, there's no way.
Yep.
As soon as he went wide, and as soon as you see the ass into the car start to jiggle a little bit, see the axle start to pop, Tony's like, I don't need to hook the corner anymore. I can just take the corner, and 8 tires is better than 4, like we've seen in video games, which is exactly what he did, which is exactly what he's supposed to do. If you're what's his name, Bugarowski, whatever his crew chief's name is, he's Booga is what they call him. That's what you want out of your driver.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Tony Stewart, the owner, that's what you want out of your driver.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Kevin Harvick, teammate, Tony Stewart, and best friends, that's what you want out of your best friend and out of your teammate. Is I saw an opportunity to win, and I took it.
And so then he celebrated in one of the
shot
better periscopes.
9 billion bottle rockets off. So he and a couple of other older guys, their team members, went after. So it was like Tony versus Rico Abreu and a couple other young guys. So Rico had the young guys, Tony had the older guys, and they had this bank of bottle rockets. I think it was a yard wide, and it was like 4 inches deep.
A yard of bottle rockets.
It had 875 billion bottle rockets.
They went to the store and said all of them.
It lasted for 8 minutes. It sounded like Star Wars. It was like, it was nuts. Not a laugh. I was in tears trying to watch that thing.
Then
they had 2 or 3 more rounds after that.
I would say that we've talked about Dale Jr. just owning Twitter as soon as he came on. Mm-hmm. Tony Stewart, every time he periscopes, it's must-see TV. He was when he was kind of, I won't say down in the dumps, but he was feeling good, and he got on his treadmill, and he was talking about his recovery and all that, and you could see that.
Oh, hell yeah!
The passion that he had, and talking about it and everything, and saying, "This is what I got to do. I got to get up. Doctor says I got to walk. I'm going to walk." And he answered a bunch of questions and talked on there, just really insightful and everything. And that's winning. And then the next thing you know, he's shooting bottle rockets at people. So just on both sides of the spectrum, he's killing it on Periscope.
He is very, very good on Periscope, from a completely different perspective than Dale Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just, I'm doing stuff. He's scoping more than anything.
Sure.
When he doesn't tweeter as much as he scopes. Like I think he scopes probably more than he tweeters.
So do you think Tony is a contender? We asked this about Truex. Do you think Tony's a contender for the title now?
You bet your white ass.
Okay.
Because Tony is Tony.
And that's
Tony. Tony can do Tony things, and nobody else has ever done Tony things before.
And that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, how many more times do I need to doubt him? Because he's not. He hasn't really shown up at the other tracks. Of course, he's only been in a few races so far. But his performance hadn't been that great. It's been similar to what it was last year at the intermediate tracks and at the type of tracks we're going to see in the chase. But I didn't think he'd come back this year. I didn't think he'd get a waiver. I didn't think he'd get a win. And he's done all these things so far. Who am I anymore to say, oh, no, he can't. Now he's not a contender. Well, shoot, just like you said, Tony's going to do Tony things. I'm done saying no. I'm a yes man now. Who knows what he's going to pull out of his hat?
Yeah, well, when he talked to Steve Burns in the pits after he had a bad run at, I think it was Michigan, he had this miserable run. And he's like, well, right now we're not good enough to make the chase. We don't deserve to make the chase. Mm-hmm. Makes the chase, wins 5 of the 10 races.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever done that.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not, like, Mount Everest that too hard, but Tony Stewart is the only person that's ever won 5 of 10 chase races. And he did it under the pretenses of, I don't even think I belong because I think we suck right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows? And, I mean, this is the same shop that's pulling out Kevin Harvick's cars that have been, at least last year,
second 21 times
dominating.
in 2 years.
Yeah, and second 21 times in 2 years. Second 21 times in this in the chase is going to probably get you a championship. And if it doesn't, Tony will find a way to get a win on that last race. So,
well, he'll take it from somebody. Not that Kevin wouldn't. We're not suggesting at all that Kevin wouldn't take a win that seems obvious that he should grab. I think Kevin would absolutely use his car to his best advantage, and I don't think that he would wreck somebody to do it. I think he would move them.
Yep.
Much like Tony did with Denny.
Let's keep breaking it down, though. Let's break it down to Daytona.
So, what piece of Daytona we want to break down first?
I don't know.
Bubba Wallace?
Well, not yet.
No, we're gonna. No. All right, we'll shelve that.
We'll shelve that. Brad Keselowski dominated again.
115 to 160 laps.
Yeah.
At a plate race. We're talking about Kenseth Daytona 2 years ago. But this time it's a Penske Ford versus being a Joe Gibbs Toyota.
Yeah.
But the result isn't a whole lot different. It was the car was so much better than everybody else. Nobody could pass him. Yeah. And he could just do that, wave back and forth, listen to the spotter say, hey, man, top line's getting a run, bottom line's getting a run,
yep.
Middle's forming up, but it's not coming all the way. And you just kind of keep wandering back and forth.
I tweeted at one point and I said, is this what fans want? Am I just looking at this as an outsider here? That fans want first off, the crash that takes out half the field, literally.
22 cars. Including all 400. Junior finished the race. Actually, I think Jimmy and Casey did too, but many laps down.
Right.
Junior wasn't, but Jimmy and Casey were many laps down.
Yeah. And so half the field's gone, and then one guy dominates. Is this what we want out of plate racing? Is this because that's the effect. At this point, that's the effect with these big, same thing happening at Talladega and stuff, where you get that big one, 16 car, whatever.
Well, and Brad led the hell out of he led 80 laps there too, or something crazy.
So, is this really what we want out of plate racing? And I can't imagine that it is, especially with the new people, with the new folks that NASCAR's trying to get in the sport, with the Daytona 500 again being the biggest event in NASCAR. Is that what we want on our big stage? I can't imagine it is. So I don't know what the answer is, what the next step is, or anything. I don't know. We've pooped on plate racing so much on this podcast. It's hard to just go down that route again and again. But
I don't really want to go there.
We go there every plate race.
Well,
that's the thing,
it's because it's hard because it sucks. All right. So after we move past that, and the thing I don't understand is, what I don't understand is how the old school fans, who I think is who we're trying to appease by still doing this plate racing, how they somehow overlook these races that we have where Brad leads 115 laps. Kenseth leads 125 laps. Whatever it is, the winner leads, like 70% of the race.
Right.
and somehow they overlook that because plate racing is such an awesome thing to them that they couldn't possibly imagine not having it. The weird thing to me is, how do you couple that and the 22-car wreck that was absolute absurdity?
Mm-hmm.
Destroyed, on average, $250,000 worth of car.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of dollars spent and advertising spent, is probably more than that, really. It's probably more like $400 per car that didn't end up running towards the front, so they didn't get commercials, and they destroyed the car, so they can't use it again beyond this past weekend.
Yeah, you're talking about like an $8 million wreck. Just
I'm talking about an $8 million wreck.
You just totaled 8 Bugatti Veyrons.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, streetwise, yeah, for sure. And so I don't understand why we're still like super excited about doing this thing. So, I mean, we got to this early, Rob Hines, Deputy Rob Hines from Pennsylvania, the hunter. Great turkey hunter, bass fisher, deer hunter. We really appreciate you being a part of this show when you have been.
At Hines, Hines, PA Hunter.
Yeah.
Send us the question.
Hines, PA Hunter asked us to talk about pros and cons of plate racing. And for me, the pros all lie with tandem. Mm-hmm. Just like Spotter Brett. At Spotter Brett, he's one of the 3 people that does the Door Bumper Clear podcast. He spots for Clint Boyer and Elliott Sadler. Big fan of tandem racing. Big fan of let us go as fast as we're capable of going. We'll manage whether or not the car can handle it.
Mm-hmm. And not just the tandem. It wasn't the tandem that was it wasn't just the tandem racing, I guess, to me, but it was that the amount of wheeling and dealing, the amount of drama was increased so much more with that, where guys had to figure out, oh, well, he wrecked me 2 races ago, but now I have no other choice but to go to his spotter and say, hey, can you push me? And he, that guy's going, yeah, I'll push you all the way up until right here, then, I'm going to shoot by you or whatever. All this wheeling and dealing going on. The fact that the drivers had to handle, you remember, I think Jimmy Johnson had the most at once. He had like 6 different radios in his car, just in his car that he could flip switches on.
Well, I remember Jeff Burton having like 25 channels or something. That's when it got ridiculous, and NASCAR said, we're not doing this anymore. But
that was the best part.
Like, that was so cool. Like, oh, yeah, switch it over to Baines. Or switch it over to Gordon. Switch it over to Clint Boyer. Switch it over to whoever, Greg Biffle. Like, the most fun that the online scanner has ever been, because we never went to a tandem race together, so we didn't get to listen to it live on our scanner,
right?
And talk about it over the headset. But the most fun I've ever had was listening to those races where it was tandem, and you dialed in to the spotter that was behind you or the driver that was behind you. So, like, if you're Casey Kane and you were getting pushed by Jeff Gordon, then you dialed into Eddie DeHaan.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, strike that, reverse it. You dialed into Kevin Hamlin because Kevin Hamlin was spotting for both cars.
Yeah.
And Jeff would be listening to the information Kevin Hamlin was given to say, you're clear, you're not clear. Okay, we got to make the switch. We're too hot.
Yeah.
And
and the switch, the drama with the switch.
So awesome.
There's so much going on. It's a shame to have lost that for what we have now. Find a person who tells me this is better.
It's not a fair trade.
No.
For the fans. I mean, I guess what I really need to do is I need to find a fan that is so vehemently for what we have today with the pack racing. And I need to understand how they know the difference between what was happening in the 80s and the 90s and what we deify Earnhardt's run at Talladega, where he went from 19th to 1st in, I think, 9 laps.
Mm-hmm.
And then you watch that race, and you and I should probably watch it. I have it on DVD. And you see that the cars have these gaps between them that are larger than an entire car. I was
about to say, the arrow was so
if you're willing to make a move, you could put your car in, and you could kind of do the bumper, like like the jerk on the movie with the, doing the parallel park. We just kind of bumped everybody and just kind of settled in. Like, you could do that then. You can't now because that space is 18 inches.
Yep. Like they say, they're running
it's
closer
not
than
12 feet.
They're running closer than we park. We don't park the cars that close,
Right, and they're doing it at 198 miles an hour.
Yep.
So it's ridiculous for us to talk about how plate racing is the same as it was when the people that we think are gods at plate racing, when they were doing their thing. It is absurd to consider that the same thing as now. It can't be because the package has them so buttoned up, there's no room to race, which is why we see all these crazy, weird. I mean, you were going to see the big wrecks before because somebody blew a tire, and well, they're still all running 190 mile an hour in 1997. But the guy 10 rows back had a chance to maybe duck out, hit the brakes, and not be in it.
Sure.
Now he's tucked up under the guy in front of him, and he's Brian Scott riding on his, he's looking at the ground because he's sitting on Kevin Harvick's hood, riding around for 400 yards with only the bumper touching the ground, all four wheels off the ground, and the bumper's touching. He's like, I don't have any control of this.
All right, I think we need to gong ourselves on that one. Sherwin and I can just let's sit down at a tailgate one day with Deputy Hines and talk that one
for sure. We'd love to. Yeah, we can gong. My bad.
No. I'm not saying
go on a tangent.
I'm sitting here staring at you like, yeah, that. And I look down at the timer going, oh, crap.
That was 15 minutes.
We'll keep doing it. Let's. How about Bubba? Bubba fined for calling the NASCAR competition team the Muppets in the booth, which that's hilarious.
I laughed my butt off.
That's hilarious. First of all, and here's the thing. I understand that there can be comments detrimental to NASCAR. I understand why that rule exists. You don't want every week to just have a big, I don't know, stink where all the drivers just poop on NASCAR. You don't want that. And that I say all the drivers, but you just don't want that sort of attention. But at some point, if you get made fun of and then you go start fining people and stuff, it kind of shows a lack of self-esteem, if you will. A lack of
confidence that you know what the hell you're doing.
Right. And so if you can't brush off a comment like the Muppets in the booth, what are you doing? You have very little confidence in what you're saying is correct if you have to go finding people a bunch. It's kind of like that, me and you both did refereeing various recreation sports in our youth, and I've been partnered with the guy who will just start throwing people out left and right, and you're going, what is this guy doing? He's just losing the crowd at this point because he's just throwing everybody out, and it's the same thing here. If you're just finding people left and right, the audience is going to look back at you and go, what's your problem, dude?
Well, you know what they say about that white stuff on the top of chicken spit? That stuff's chicken spit, too. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So, and I totally agree. It's amazing to me that NASCAR can pretend that they have some modicum of order within their rulage system, however you want to describe it, and they get so caught up in the weak flames of drivers being upset immediately post-race or the next day, whatever it is, that they have to fine or challenge them in ways that don't seem to make a lot of sense. Like, if you're really confident about what you're doing, do you care Bubba called you a Muppet?
Right. That's something. I'm a Muppet.
Like, if you're making good decisions, really smart, sound, well-thought, engineered decisions, are you worried about Bubba calling you a Muppet?
Mm-hmm. No.
So what does that leave us to believe? Either or both. It's either A or two that they're not confident in their decisions,
mm-hmm.
or B, they don't know if they're making the right ones.
Right.
Which is kind of the same thing, but different.
Right. I mean, look at the Tony Stewart thing.
They don't have smart enough people doing this thing.
Yeah, he cussed him out about the lug nuts. They fine him, and then they change the lug nut thing. I mean, just...
They find him and immediately change the rule.
That shows you the lack of confidence in the decision-making that they have.
Yeah, it's like, we don't want you talking about us, but we don't know what the cuss word we're talking about.
All right, we tore it down. Let's build it back up.
Let's build some stuff back up.
Build it up. We're going to Kentucky. How about Kentucky? They've got
well, speaking of building, I mean, rebanked 1 and 2.
Yep, whole new surface, new banking. I don't know. It's a toss-up now, so we got to do picks later on. But it's
we do have to do picks.
It's like I don't know. So they got that. Tire tests showed that they better bring some good tires.
Well, what it showed was that Goodyear got aggressive and brought a really soft tire because it blistered.
Which we like.
Which, golly, I'd prefer them to err on that side. Even though, I mean, we certainly don't want anybody to get hurt. We've done a lot of things with the wall in the car and the technology that the driver wears that suggests maybe we've got some room to play with.
Maybe we can go a little more aggressive on this.
In terms of the tire. I mean, I know the last thing Goodyear in the world wants is somehow somebody gets hurt because their tire popped and that driver got hurt. So I get it.
Sure.
I mean, but they have a whole universe to sell to, with fleet cars and passenger cars.
I don't think they get the blame in that case. And I know they're thinking
so
about
either.
it. But the drivers are the ones who are putting the pressure on that. The drivers know how far they can go. The drivers know after, whatever it is, maybe 38 laps, you got to be a little softer on it before before you go and get fuel and tires, because otherwise you're just going to run it out, and somebody's going to run it out. I get it. So,
well, the thing is, if you build a tire that's got the appropriate fall off, you'll never get to the blowout.
Yeah.
Because the tire will fall off so much, you need tires.
Yeah, you're going to be 2 seconds off. Yeah, you're going to be 2 seconds off.
It's like Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like
Atlanta spits out tires.
Yeah, on a mile and a half, typically you can run 54 laps or whatever the heck it is. Cool. At 37, I want tires.
Yeah.
I want tires like 18, 16 laps before technically the fuel runs out.
Right, and
so
that's what prevents our fuel mileage races.
And did we see tire blowouts at Atlanta? I don't remember seeing tire blowouts.
No,
I think you can manage soft tires versus blowouts. I think you can manage it. I think it's manageable, is what I'm saying. I want to be on Goodyear's tire engineering team to understand why they're scared of bringing a soft tire to whatever place we're going to. They're scared to bring it to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
But is it fatigue? Maybe it's overall heat for a period of time. Charlotte, maybe.
It gets hot there.
Like it gets hot, it stays hot, and they usually run. It's usually a fuel mileage race.
Yep.
And so there's a ton of heat fatigue in the tire.
Yep.
So how is that different from abrasive fatigue? I'd love to understand that. I'd love to get a Goodyear engineer on the show. Maybe we can figure out how to do that.
Might be able to find that out. Well, it's and that's the intriguing part now. And maybe that's something every week on the podcast that once we start talking about the next week's race, that's when I'm starting getting excited again. So I'm like, all right, what are these tires going to do? What are they? The tire test show blistering. What are they going to do about it? What are they going to bring? And now that we have repave and all that, toss up. Who knows what's going to happen? So, yeah. Now I'm excited to watch the race.
Yeah,
let's do this.
Yeah. What's our next? What are we hitting next?
Well, let's do some picks. You know what picks are all about.
Are we doing picks next? All right, cool.
Our guy. So at Sonoma, I believe I got goose egg or something. I made picks and they were I don't remember now. Last week at Daytona.
Who did you pick?
There's no telling.
We didn't pick anybody at Daytona.
Yeah, I know. But on the fantasy league that you and I are in, I know I goose egged that one, or we call it donkey balls sometimes. But
I think I donkey balls it too.
I know. I'm pretty sure I got last in our league in Daytona, but yeah, for Sonoma, I can't remember who I picked. I don't remember. If any of the PETM posse there remembers who we picked, once again, we got to start writing these down, and I say that every week, but whatever. Why don't you go ahead? Because I'm not confident that I did any, or if that's too much pressure, if you don't want to have that.
No, I'm trying to think. I thought I remembered. I may have picked Jamie McMurray because he tends to do well.
Okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Shout out Jamie McMurray. Happy to shout you out there, bro.
Well, this is embarrassing. I ate McDonald's for lunch today.
That's fun.
I had to get a haircut. I had to get my car tag renewed, and McDonald's right down the road right here. So I just went and got me a Big Mac. So I got a Jamie Mac Big Mac at McDonald's, number one.
Damn. That
blah,
French,
blah, blah.
That French dressing on that.
$1,000.
All right, so Kentucky. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to go with Tony Stewart.
Love the pick. He's a connoisseur of tires. Is what I'll call him. So he's going to have a lot to say about tires, win or lose, or crash out, or lap the field.
For sure.
So I like the pick in terms of just even hearing what he has to say about tires and everything. But I imagine that comes from just momentum and where he's at.
Tony is so momentum is everything with Tony.
So Kentucky's a place where Kyle and Brad have pretty much dominated, as far as I know. And so I'm going to pick Kyle just because
wasn't his first win last year though? In that, like, he had a great run at Kentucky, and then he won last year. He won.
Yeah.
Sonoma.
He won last year.
So last year we didn't go Sonoma, Daytona, Kentucky. There was something else in between. It was Michigan, maybe, or I think it was. But yeah, so Kyle had a great amount of success leading laps, but for whatever reason couldn't finish. Yeah. Not unlike Kansas, where he just couldn't get around it, and then he won.
Yep.
So
I'm going Kyle again.
Yeah, I think,
but that's it was between Kyle and Brad for me.
Penske and Gibbs is a good shot.
Yeah,
I mean,
and SHR for that matter. I mean, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not going to be Hendrick, by the way.
Well,
unfortunately, like Casey won in 2012 in the Quaker State in the Gen 5 car. That's not going to happen.
Well, I also said Tony Stewart's not going to win a race, so who knows?
I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah, try a little reverse psychology on it.
Exactly.
We have another fan question, as it were. Old Jason Woodham.
We have 3, I think, or 2.5.
2.5. Jason Woodham at WOODHAM. Woodham Jason at Woodham Jason.
Jason Woodham.
He asks us, how much you think the change at lead engineers hurting Dale Jr.? He says there's big shoes to fill, and Greg Ives is only a sophomore crew chief.
Yeah, so that's what he's talking about is the change from Kevin Meendering moving from the 88 Cup team to be the crew chief, being promoted. Definitely promoted to be Elliott Sadler's crew chief on the number 1 junior motorsports Xfinity ride. And so what he's asking is, how big of a deal is it when you lose your engineer? How much does that change your performance or potentially change your performance? And what I would say is, and I will certainly allow you to speak after this, but what I would say is Hendrick is down as a whole. So I don't think that this is the way you identify the performance gap. I don't think Kevin Meendering moving to Junior Motorsports to help out Elliott Sadler, who does have a win at Talladega and has had a good run of things. I don't think that's the reason why Junior's not won.
Do you think that Hendrick is down? I mean,
compared to...
Well, but think about it, though. So Jimmy's got his wins. Junior is knocking on the door. I mean, I think that goes along with this question, but I think Junior's, right there. You can't expect Chase to be Jeff Gordon out the gate, but he's almost Jeff Gordon out the gate.
Well,
and Casey is Hendrick number 4, who is always, going to have problems.
Jimmy's the only car that's won.
You're right.
So, yes, I would say Hendrick is down.
Okay.
I would, especially considering the horsepower performance from the Toyota cars and even now the Roush, even though they can't build a suspension or a chassis to save their lives, they obviously have found a motor.
Well, you're right. If you're putting them, if you're in the same sentence as Roush in 2016, that's problematic right now.
I mean,
but I don't think
Chase is doing it. But so we have to part this fold or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Chase is doing as well as any rookie's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's probably not going to do what Jimmy and Tony did, which was to win 3 races as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dale Earnhardt won 3 races, which is an expectation to have of a rookie you should never have.
Right.
That's an Jeff Gordon.
Yep.
193 races, did not win as a rookie. So let's keep everything in check just for a minute.
Anyway, I interrupted your whole train of thought.
I think,
but I wanted to challenge that a little bit, and I'm still not sure that Hendrick is down. I think they're on the upslope, I should say, on the year versus Roush, maybe, if we're putting them in the same sentence. With the performance that Chase has had, 3 weeks ago? Anyway.
I'm going to disagree based on the last 4 weeks.
Okay.
I think Hendrick is on the rise. I think Roush has found something to where their graph is a steeper rise. I don't think their drivers are capable of maximizing on it.
So you think Greg Biffle's fixing to win a race?
But I think they found something with their motor. I think Robert Yates figured out something with their motors. And I don't want to care about Roush. Roush is putting money in, but Robert Yates is the one that's figuring out the motors. Okay, cool.
So back to the question. It was about Junior's
Junior's lead engineer and whether or not that is the detriment to his performance this year. What is he, 7th in points? Happens to not have a win yet.
He's going to make the chase. I think he's totally a contender in the chase. So
he's absolutely going to make the chase.
Right.
So it's a matter of, does he win a race before we get there?
Yeah.
So no, I don't think him losing his engineer is that big a deal.
Yeah. And Hendrick is moving around. Remember, Casey lost his engineer.
I think the package is a much bigger deal than losing the guy that's helping call the shots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're seeing this with Keith Rodden and Casey.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Like, they replaced his previous crew chief with a guy that used to be his car chief, and we're not seeing a big jump in performance.
Right.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that when you change technology, I don't think people realize how big the technology change is in the aero package, the body package, and the motor package. It is huge.
Yep.
And it's obvious that Hendrick is behind some other shops in how they've developed it. Like, they had a ton of horsepower 5 years ago with that package. Right now, they don't. It's obvious. I mean, you can hear it on the radio if you listen to them. They're like, how is he able to get back to the gas and get gone like that? I don't know. That's weird. Like, the Toyotas are doing weird stuff in the corners. They're on the gas way sooner than we are. What's that about?
All right, so we tore it down. We built it up. Let's have some fun now. UFC 100 or UFC 100.
200.
200. 200. I'm
my house.
100. We're going to Sherwin's
Y'all
house.
are all invited.
Yeah, bring the posse. Bring everybody.
Posse is invited.
It's going to be fun. Arguably the greatest card in UFC history, although 100 was pretty darn solid.
Well, we watched 100 at your apartment.
Yeah, back in the day.
I remember that.
Back in the day, yeah. Speaking, I think, alongside UFC, we had us a little UFC fight with John West Townley and old Chicken Man.
We had
fighting with Spencer Gallagher.
Yeah,
it was a fight that Spencer Gallagher didn't seem like he really wanted to be a part of, and John West Townley is not a great aggressor, and that just sort of hug fight.
He's not a good
the
wrestler.
Tango.
Yeah, the tango.
Yeah, the little hug it out sort of thing with a few. It was like they were sort of hugging and then punching each other a little bit, but
he doesn't know
I don't
any
know.
judo. That's the thing is he stepped in between his legs instead of stepping outside and then hip tossing.
He was trying to do some fancy stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Like, just have yourself a street fight, buddy.
Well, I thought when he came in hot,
Yeah.
and then after they got up off the concrete or the asphalt, and he threw a couple in there.
Yeah.
And the word on the street is, I didn't see any pictures, but Spencer Gallagher was purple from eyeball to eyeball
Oh, yeah. Well,
because of the 4 or 5 punches he landed after the fact.
I'll say this. I've only been in a few fights in my life, thankfully, because I'm just not one to go seek them out. But as much advice or whatever I wanted as I might try to give somebody, all my fights probably look like that. So what am I, who am I to judge? UFC 200, though.
UFC 200. Which fight are you looking the most forward to?
The return of Brock Lesnar. I mean, just let me go.
For Christ's sake,
WWE on this. I'll do it. Fine. I want to see him. That's what I want to see. I know these other ones are going to be.
I'm looking forward to John Jones.
Well, there's
going to
be more
Daniel
talent.
Cormier.
There's going to be more talent in these other fights. There's going to be more fighting in these other fights. But we're talking about Brock Lesnar.
How about Misha Tate?
About her.
She's pretty.
Yeah, she is. She is. She
so
can
great.
whip my pretty butt too. So, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
gonna
Misha's fighting. John Jones is fighting. Brock Lesnar's fighting.
Holy cow!
Josie Aldo's fighting.
Holy cow! We need to go watch this somewhere. How about your house?
Would you like to come over to my house?
Yeah,
I was thinking about buying it.
Excellent. So, did we have one last question while we're having fun? I think we got one.
Oh, we got
end, right?
we got Ashley. We got what I've dubbed a new segment for us in appreciation of Ashley Stang. Is it's strange with Stang? She asks us a weird ass question. Let me see where it is. I thought I put it in here, but I didn't.
I think it was if you could get would you rather?
Would you rather?
Would you rather? So the question was VIP NASCAR tickets for life, but you had to smell beer, free beer, but you had to smell like ish.
You had to smell like spit.
Yeah, that's a big no for me. No.
No, I wouldn't either.
Smelling bad because then
quite
you're
honestly, I don't want to smell.
You're in the VIP room and like you're smelling.
Nobody wants to be around.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, who are you going to enjoy the race with?
There's no VIPing if you stink.
Yeah, tell me a VIP
you don't
smells bad.
You don't get to hang out with the other VIPs if you stink. So it's a fun question. We like it.
I like
strange with Stang.
Yeah, I like that one.
Hashtag. But
I
no.
Just see on our Periscope just a no.
Nope.
Thank you for the no.
I prefer to buy my own beer, take my own showers, and then be a VIP.
Buy my own tickets and have some fun. So let's start closing out, man.
Wow,
I know.
Quick.
I know. It
So
goes
much
by.
fun.
It goes by so quick. We're having too much fun. We had to have 2 weeks worth of fun this time, just because of having to be off.
We
Y'all,
we got to get.
I'm on vacation next week, and so y'all are gonna have to. I know. Y'all gonna have to rely on Sherwin to bring y'all.
I'm gonna be in Arkansas.
Arkansas?
Right, most of the week.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How about that? Arkansas.
Little Rock.
Yeah. Throw these jelly beans on. Little Rock, Arkansas. Oh man, got the fart gag
good
out.
one.
That's
good.
nasty. What we'll do, y'all, is look for some Periscope from Sherwin. I'm gonna try to do some Periscope if I can. I'm hiking the Swiss Alps. Y'all wish me luck. I might die. It's all right. Sherwin will have to run the podcast on his own.
I will.
Mm-hmm.
I may have to do.
Cheers to you.
I'll definitely do the Periscope. from Arkansas.
Yep. Y'all follow us at PETM Podcast. We're on Twitter. We're on the Google deal. YouTube. We got YouTube now, too.
We got YouTube.
I'm having too much fun with that part yet.
Yeah.
We're on the Facebook, on the Twitter, everything. Yeah. Throw that thing away. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor.
And I'm pregame engineer Andrew Sherwin at pregame ENG.
We'll talk to y'all next time.
Thumbs up.